the British upper classes at play.
I got the people, I got the flirt, I got the giggle, I got the laugh.
Since 1709, Tatler magazine has been sending dispatches from the front line of privilege.
He came from Paris, from the Pousse market. Have you seen my polar bear? He's called bipolar.
Every issue features the country homes of Britain's elite.
It is rather lovely. It is the only one in the world. Wonderful people come and clean it.
The world's most expensive fashion and jewellery.
Should we look at upgrading our engagement rings?
Yes.
The all-important social scene.
Everyone who's anyone is there. Just the people having a good time.
And of course, horse racing.
I'm in desperate need of a large drink now.
With a lineage longer than some of the families it reports on. Tatler doesn't just observe the upper classes.
I know him. No, I actually know him.
It helps to preserve the rules they live by.
Under no circumstances should there be any suggestion of saliva.
And provides a knowing guide for those aspiring to join.
If you're new in London, you might have a Labradoodle. If you're old country, you probably have a black Labrador that's like 500 years old and farts, but you love it more than your children.
We spent 6 months behind the scenes to find out what it takes to be posh in the 21st century.
The wrong choice of a tweed, the wrong blue on a Tuesday afternoon, that is something terrible. That is epically terrible.
Tatler has always been more interested in the social scene and parties than frontline politics.
What's this one? This gin and tonic. Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
They're on the label somewhere.
But some issues are too big to ignore.
Yeah, all the swanks all have like cottages and lodges and stuff down the river because it's the best salmon fishing.
North of the border, politics is stirring the upper classes. And for the magazine, it's an irresistible opportunity to take a look at Scotland's toffs.
And it's in order of precedence. The Duchess of Buccleuch and Queensberry is the most important.
Yeah, she's a big gun.
Tatler features editor Sophia Money-Coutts, who grew up on the Scottish borders, is writing an article for the August issue.
No one else is going to look at the Scottish referendum and think, brilliant, the way that we must tackle this important political issue is by going from castle to castle and interviewing Scottish toffs. So, the point of Scotland, of me going to Scotland, is a bit like... Alice, I don't know if you
But before she takes the sleeper train on her toff hunting expedition, she gets insider tips from her colleague Alice Cockerell.
I don't think you're a bit out of season. I don't know if you'll meet anyone in the bar, but generally...
That would be so fun. Oh, do you? Is it normally quite a riot?
Everyone gets laid and stuff.
No.
First class bar is you want to go
Scotland's
crawling.
picking up suddenly.
It's a pretty posh thing to do, I think, to summer in Scotland. August in Scotland is just Tatlerville. I mean, Scotland is real Tatler's heartland, I'd say. Every kind of coffee table in every shooting lodge in the country will have a Tatler edition and read it soaking in their baths after a big day on the grouse moor and stuff.
But it's just a matter of working out, who the best, most gossipy, most eccentric ones are to try and get the secrets and find out where the bodies are buried.
So how come you've got a backstory with Scotland?
I go up most summers.
Oh really? Well, you got family?
All my life, yeah. She's got a place outside Pitlochry.
Lovely.
Which is there.
I bumped into someone who was going to Pitlochry and he said, "What are you up for, bawling or killing?"
Isn't that so good? The Duke of Westminster has 32,000 acres somewhere. The Rousings have thousands of acres. There are so many vast estates up there and nothing's changed there for centuries and centuries.
I think that's definitely a kind of conglomeration of toffs around there.
So this could be a high-density toff area.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay. And then I imagine it's quite remote up here.
Yeah.
And they get madder and more eccentric up here.
Yeah, of course. Like the poshers in Scotland, they stick together. I mean, in a way, it's like being an expat, I suppose. And it's really cliquey, it's clannish. But I think there are, different members of the clan. It's a real pecking order. It's very hierarchical in the clan.
I really love the idea that I keep getting from people that Scotland's this kind of medieval place where they do things in still quite a kind of backwards way. full-length dresses and reading parties and absolutely no sex and, you know, very austere.
Fewer than 500 people own half of Scotland's land, a tiny fraction of its population of 5 million.
I just quite like the sense it's all a bit feudal and backwards, but then I don't want to be mean to all the people that I'm going to interview by making them all out to be incredibly backwards. I just want to kind of look at the romantic side of Scotland, basically, by hopping from castle to castle. Winkle your way in, I would say, and then do them over.
Having grown up amongst some of the wealthy landowners on the Scottish border herself, Sophia has connections in high places. Her first stop is a place she knows well.
I'm staying with a lovely old family friend who's called Adrian Palmer, Lord Palmer, who lives in this amazing house, house with a silver staircase.
Manderston is a 109-roomed Edwardian pile owned by Lord Palmer, a descendant of the Huntley and Palmer Biscuit Company. Lord Palmer lives on his own and splits his time between the Borders and the House of Lords.
At this time of year, I love this place. Absolutely love it. I do absolutely nothing all morning, but I seem to be very busy doing nothing.
And then what are you up to today?
Today I am going riding, and then I shall be at my desk, and then I shall watch my favourite television programme, The Chase, at 6 o'clock, and then I will do my mowing, which takes 2 hours.
Sophia met Lord Palmer when her mother, a keen huntswoman, married the master of the Berwickshire Hunt and moved into the cottage next door to Lord Palmer.
Hello, Muppets. Hello, hello, hello. You smell? Quite a strong smell. Hello. Oh, Lord. We were in Scotland for 8-9 years, but I was only living here and going to day school for like a year and a half. But then here in holidays and stuff. I was quite a different kind of chubby, miserable 10-year-old when I was here. I didn't much like the school that I went to because I was slightly bullied and I had to eat my lunch on my own, my packed lunch in the loo.
When did it change for you?
I think when I went to boarding school actually. I love boarding school, kind of unashamedly jolly hockey sticks about it.
Tonight, Sophia is staying up at the big house and dining with Lord Palmer.
So I kind of grew up behind those trees.
How much did you sort of hang around to when you were young, Sophia?
Oh, really?
Well, quite a lot we were here, kind of.
I mean, they
running around.
literally at the bottom of the drive.
Yeah, so yeah.
And our children all roughly the same age.
Yeah.
Really.
I always had a big crush on Hugo.
Who's Hugo?
The oldest son.
And are these foxes from various hunts you've done?
One of them is actually mine. Yeah, that's mine. That was killed in the woodland garden. One shouldn't talk about killing things. This apparently is the largest stuffed bear in the world. And if you look at those claws, I mean, they are quite something. And as children, we were absolutely petrified coming in here and suddenly seeing this.
Oh, wow.
The story of this is that my great-great-uncle married into the aristocracy, and he was not particularly aristocratic, but he inherited a huge amount of money, and he wanted to impress his in-laws. And when he went down to Kettleston to ask his father-in-law-to-be, can I get married, he said, yes, if you're able to keep the manner to which he's accustomed, and therefore this is why he built Manderston. This is a copy of the Petit Trianon in Versailles, but this is silver, and theirs wasn't.
Oh, so it's actually grander than Versailles.
It is rather lovely. It is the only one in the world.
It's amazing.
Wonderful people come and clean it.
With toothbrushes, very carefully.
Yeah.
Manderston was built in the first years of the last century. A nouveau riche baronet married a traditional aristocrat and created a home of glittering style to match his status as a country gentleman. 100 years ago, the house had 98 servants, everything from a butler and nannies to gardeners, cooks and grooms.
I do remember taking my grandmother out to lunch just after I'd passed my driving test. And in those days, you arrived 1:45 sharp, and you left at 2:15 sharp. And just before we left, the butler came into the drawing room and handed our hostess a note. And when my grandmother and I got into the car, and as I was driving sedately down the drive, she said, "Wasn't that simply awful?" And I said, "What, Granny?" And she said, "Oh, didn't you notice?" And I said, "Notice what?" And she said, "Well, the way the butler handed Mrs. X a note." And I said, "Well, what was wrong with that?" She said, "It was not on a silver salver." And that, to my grandmother, really was the end of civilization.
Lord Palmer inherited the house in 1975 with his first wife. Now divorced and with his children grown up, he lives at Manderston with just a full-time housekeeper and a gardener.
With big houses these days, you don't have the downturn upstairs, downstairs with hot and cold running staff and butlers, and there is a sense that that has died out. That's me. West bedroom number 1. The money that all these big houses need, but basically to stop them falling down, essentially, is vast. With Adrian, you do get the sense that it is a real struggle. So he is very much on his own in that house, which is sad.
Well, actually, genuinely, that was not put out.
And there's one there, I can see. I remember, Adrian, when I was probably 12 or 13, you asking me, did I really want to be a journalist? Because they were kind of the very worst people.
Journalism is the worst profession in the world because technically a prostitute is giving pleasure to somebody.
Oh, no, but look at all your tops.
Well, you are so incompetent as a profession. It is unbelievable.
The whole point of doing this piece, basically, to try and gauge what the temperature is like for kind of the people that Tatler would be interested in vis-a-vis independence. I'm guessing that you're very strongly against, and in that case, why?
I'm a very bad person to ask of that question because I did actually have a private member's bill to get rid of the Scottish Parliament because, of course, I am not Scottish in that I have a tiny bit of Scottish blood in me. I adore the Scots, I love Scotland, and I also greatly think that the Union is incredibly important. And I think the breakup of the United Kingdom after all these years is an absolute tragedy.
Leaving Lord Palmer to mow the rest of his 56-acre estate, it's back on the road for Sophia to continue toff hunting and prepare her feature.
I think people who own that much land are just nervous that somehow the right to buy could be given. Tenant farmers could buy outright properties that they own and land that they own. It's all up in the air, basically, but I think that is the fear, that change. Winter. Dark times are coming, maybe.
While there may be a perceived threat to a certain way of life north of the border, 500 miles south and things are quite different. London and the southeast is awash with Russian money. Oligarchs now top the Sunday Times rich list. They are buying swathes of property and now they're trying to buy into the upper-class social scene. It is something Tatler can no longer ignore.
OK, so I think the deal is that we've all got a bit sick of hearing about Roman Abramovich and Chelsea and his house in Cheyne Walk and this, that and the other. So should we do a guide to lesser-known oligarchs, essentially?
So what makes a lesser oligarch rather than a major oligarch? Is it a bit like Tolstoy when everyone's got the same name and just a bit confused about who's who?
Maybe, yeah, exactly.
Because they become a major oligarch when you can actually recognise their name.
Where to spot them, in Hertford Street or in wherever, how much they have, if they're married, potentially.
Yeah, you want to know.
We've been hearing about, well, it is Abramovich, isn't it, really, for years, but there are millions of others. Yeah.
Only if they have some relation to London.
Yeah, no,
There's
yeah,
no point just
completely.
yeah.
But I think most of them do, because they'll all have, big houses and...
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The houses.
If you should be frightened of them.
Yes, exactly, like danger rating.
How to pronounce their name.
How terrifying it is, exactly.
Maybe not all Russian as well. You could have some Uzbeki ones and some Ukrainians and, you know, from all over.
Over the years, there have been different waves of wealth from abroad coming into this country, particularly in London, but also in some of the sort of fancier properties in the home counties and buying it up. Some of them stay, some of them don't. Every generation will have stories about, you know, in the 70s it was, you know, people from the Arab countries would come in with lots of money and sort of dazzle all of us with their glamour and their shiny things. Now it tends to be the Russians. I'm sure it'll be somebody else next week.
For 300 years, Tatler has remained a truly British affair. But 5 years ago, the magazine seized an opportunity abroad. 2 decades after the fall of the Soviet Union, Moscow has become the billionaire capital of the world. So Tatler decided it was time to launch a Russian title, appealing to the luxury brand advertisers and the emerging rich.
The extraordinary thing is, I don't think anybody would have thought 20 years earlier that a Russian Tatler would be launched. It would have probably struck you as the last place on earth where there would be a Tatler during the height of the Cold War. But it simply shows how fast cultures and countries can change.
Tatler Russia is in the heart of the most stylish shopping district in Moscow, and the team is headed up by editor Ksenia Solovyeva. It's the Monday morning features meeting, and they are discussing the latest trend amongst wealthy Russians, decadent hen parties.
Потому что невест много. На эти выходные только 2 свадьбы было. Была крутая, вышла замуж.
Нет, они просто они поедут в конце, у них сейчас будет... Нет, ну они просто расписались, но с ним вдвоем, а типа праздничный, у них еще девичник она нам отдает.
We have the most beautiful women, definitely. The most generous men, for sure. Deep historical roots, beautiful cultural heritage, good luxury infrastructure, and altogether it's worth covering. So that's why Tatler is here.
You know, unfortunately, we don't have the queen and princess, but we have oligarchs and their wives.
And obviously they don't have articles about the royal family because they shot them. But the cast of characters, I would say, is extremely similar.
That's nice.
Russia has twice as many billionaires than any other European country, worth more than $500 billion between them, and they love their luxury brands.
And our readers are the wealthiest group of people in Russia. Tatler loves things a little bit over the top, very chic, very glamorous.
Anya Zhurova is one of the most pat fashion editors in the world. The daughter of a Soviet engineer, Anya, like many Muscovites, has made the transition from Eastern Bloc to Western wealth.
So you guys, let's free this little space.
Today, she's in charge of an 8-page shoot with a model dressed in £1 million of diamonds, in a tracksuit, taking selfies.
Tatler is very keen on using high jewelry in virtually every single shot of the magazine. So we always have to deal with this big, serious man with guns sitting on our shoots, protecting all the diamonds.
But don't cover your earrings and necklace.
Meglio.
The magazine generally is about luxury and beauty and success and great mood.
No.
We like smiles, we like, positive, uplifting atmosphere, we like lots of jewelry, diamonds, we like puppies.
Whilst Russian Tatler seeks to profile its nouveau riche class, its British counterpart prefers to feature its ancient aristocratic families.
Oh, bollocks, was that it maybe up there? I don't know, I feel like we might have just missed the turning. Yeah, I think it's probably up there.
If possible, do a U-turn.
Oh God, look at this.
Sophia is in Inverness, and has come to visit Leonie Gibbs, an aristocratic, eccentric sculptress who lives on the 1,100-acre Belladrum estate.
They're just the kind of family who you could end up sitting next to, you know, the Queen maybe at lunch or someone extraordinary. Just gather up interesting, arty types. Is this your whole studio? Wow!
The last 2 months, I've been very lucky.
With quite grand, uplifting music.
I always have uplifting music.
Just watch the geese.
Leonie moved into Belladrum in 1987 with her husband after his family took back the ancestral seat.
Okay.
Cutting out
the
pieces and then timesing it by 3. And that was me having to try and remember my maths lesson.
Yes, I was going to say.
And I was never very good at maths. In fact, I failed.
Oh, this looks very technical.
I got an E.
No Scottish toff has a Scottish accent at all, because they've either been to school down south or they've been to posh Scottish schools where, you know, it's beaten out of them. So they all talk like the Queen, basically like Prince Charles.
Just to warn you about this place, this is plaster.
So be very careful. Oh, not that careful then. Look! I love it.
And
how long has this taken?
I've been working on this for about 6 or 7 years. On and off. I come and tickle away at it, then I disappear again for a while.
And think about it.
Go on holiday or try and run away.
Her dad is Mervyn Fox Pitt, who was a big polo player, who I think still lives up there. But yes, she was a Fox Pitt, and they are related. One of those English families who just are related to everyone.
Just to warn you about this floor, apparently Joe's just told me the other day it's a very dangerous floor where it's like the whole thing's being held up on one tiny little splinter. And then you see this one, because I'm a squirrel, I can't say goodbye to anything, so I should really...
Oh!
Just drop
Something just fell off. Another bit of the poor old chap.
What I feel about it, Scotland separating from England, it's like divorcing a rich parent.
Yeah.
Because if people just do a timeline back and realise why was it we became together in the first place, people fought for us to become together. You know, it's a very serious thing now to separate us. And why break something which
if it ain't broke?
If it ain't broke.
Are there big estates round? What are the biggest estates round here?
The estate opposite here,
yeah,
Beaufort.
Okay.
That's now where the Frasers used to live. He was on a drag hunt just here. Within 10 minutes of the hunt setting off, I saw him coming down the hill, red coat, looking terribly smart, master of hounds, and what I didn't realise was he was actually dying at the time on his horse, having a heart attack.
Well, I suppose if that's what he loved, then that's a way to go.
And he actually died on the saddle. And then people think he fell off, but he never fell off. They had to take him off and try and pump him back to life. And the whole estate, everybody was there all standing round him.
Does everyone know everyone? Yes.
Yes, everyone does really, because there's not very many people to know.
Yeah.
And could you ever turn your back on it? Would you ever sort of imagine yourself not here?
No, I tried to do that. I did actually try and run away about a year ago. It didn't really work, because actually where I was thinking of running away to was too flat. Because it is ferociously beautiful as well. I mean,
no.
Just take one look. Today, you couldn't get a better day for seeing it all. It's just magical. But it's a bit of a fantasy world, it is. Yeah.
You have inherited a big house and it has been in your family for generations. You don't want to be the one that goes, do you know what, I don't fancy this, I want a bungalow, sod this. What a disgrace to have to eventually admit that you can't handle it. No, it's not necessarily decreasing, it's kind of changing, which is what it always has been. Thus, when back in the days when British toffs were marrying, rich American heiresses, Nancy Astor, and that's always gone on. There's always been, new people infiltrating the ranks.
Whilst British Tatler honours its centuries-old aristocrats, Russia is busy creating a breed of class all of their own.
I've been several times in this magazine. That's how I would put it.
Paulina Kitchenko is the closest Russia has to Kate Middleton. She is what Russian Tatler refer to as one of their heroes.
Sometimes they write about your head or about your body or about the way you looked at certain parties.
British Tatler is 300 years old and we are only 6. And you have your old money, we have new money. And none of our heroes were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. None of them graduated from the best schools. None of them used to go to St. Moritz with their parents for skiing.
Paulina is a self-made millionairess who opened Podium, a fashion empire which sells designer clothes and has a cheaper chain of stores across Russia which provide for the mass market.
I guess I was in the... Oh yeah, I was in the first issue even.
Really?
Yeah, I was in the first issue of Russian Tatler, and I guess that I happened to be there several times a year.
An amateur sportswoman, Paulina has made marathon running fashionable amongst the elite, and she's one of the most photographed women in Moscow. The queen of Russian society, Paulina's every move is scrutinized.
She became a mother recently the second time, and now you can see that she has a perfect shape. And we saw her in sport uniform the day after childbirth.
We would like that Paulina stay with baby car, like an in fashion position.
The Tatler team want Paulina to flaunt her abs, wearing designer sportswear and pose with a pram.
It's a very fashionable stroller. It's a bugaboo from Holland.
Do a new piece on me to show to the typical Tatler readers how to be in shape all pregnancy and still be someone who you've been before. Because I was doing cross-country ski till the 9th month of pregnancy. Yeah.
Кто быстрее родит, кто больше родит детей. Теперь они соревнуются еще, кто и лучше выглядит при этом. Поэтому это здорово.
Можно одеть на второй картинке вот этот плащ или еще что-то. Ну, какой-то сделать фан. Ну, у нас и коляска в зале. У нас как бы...
Коляска, да, в зале, потому что ребенка ну, как бы такая идея, как бы, да, пришла вместе с малышкой. Мы все понимаем. Honestly, I'm not a fashion stylist, but I know that our girls, sometimes they need to be good psychologists to understand the mood of our heroes, because people are different. And some of them, I'll be honest, some of them are very capricious because of their levels.
Is she happy? Is Paulina happy? Is she unhappy?
Paulina has taken over from the stylists and wants to see all the clothes. After rejecting 3 racks of high-end brands, Paulina opts for an all-in-one black running suit.
There are probably 100,000 people in Russia who are sufficiently rich to be really serious spenders on watches, on jewellery and on fashion. So from an advertiser's point of view, if 70 or 80,000 of them are reading Tatler, it's a precision instrument. It's an extremely effective way of catching the attention of this group. They're also very interested in writing about what's happening in London and New York and Paris. And the reason that they are is that there's such huge Russian communities there. In London, 240,000 Russians living in London. And so this is part of the world geography of Russian Tatler readers.
At the end of the day, we both write about people, about love, jealousy, greed, vanity, generosity, cheating. But there are much more possibilities here than to write about tweed jackets.
Born with a big silver spoon and a closet full of tweed, are one of Scotland's grandest families, the Duke and Duchess of Argyll. Sophia is back in Scotland, and her referendum-inspired road trip has brought her to Inverary.
Doors are open to you quite often because it's Tatler, so people generally think, oh, it'll be a kind of softer ride. It doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be a softer ride. What do the SNP say on mansion tax?
I think Alex Salmond likes tourists because he knows that that's good
money,
for business, but I don't think he necessarily likes
big houses and posh people.
English speaking.
So it's a difficult one for him, isn't it? So is that the crest and flag up there?
Yeah, so that's Torquil's flag. So if he's home, that's up. And otherwise it's just the black
really? And do they take it down when he's not?
Well, it's just me and the children, then we don't.
Just the riffraff. Most of these places are hit pretty hard by inheritance tax anyway when they have to pass it on to the next generation. They do have big tax bills, these places. So the thought of another bill on top of what they're already paying, I mean, it's not wrong that they're paying tax, you know, they're very lucky, they've got lots of land, big houses, but it does make, you know, paying for the leaks in the roof that one bit harder.
The Argylls are one of the oldest clans and own one of the biggest estates in Scotland, with over 60,000 acres. Their land and properties have been handed down from generation to generation since the family came over from Ireland in 700 AD.
In the olden days, you know, there was enough money. You had your... So the family here lived in Shaftesbury Avenue. They lived way in Holland Park. They lived in Richmond, was their sporting lodge. And then this was for 6 weeks in the summer. And you had it all. Now that's all gone. So now you've got this, and there isn't any money that goes with it. You inherit a house with some fantastic pictures and some amazing things in it, but there's no cash anymore to pay the bills. Okay, so there we are, highest ceiling in Scotland. Wow. And on that is our family crest. So you've got a Duke's coronet in the middle.
Yes.
And Dukes have strawberry leaves on their coronets.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So Earls have balls,
okay.
and Marquises have ball strawberry leaf,
okay.
and then Dukes have strawberry leaves.
Why strawberry leaves?
No idea.
Even though the Argylls are only one rung down from the royal family, they have had to open Inverary Castle to the public for 7 months of the year. To survive, they have been forced to open a gift shop, cafe where one can sip on a Duke's special hot chocolate, and recently allowed Downton Abbey to film a Christmas special.
Duke and Duchess looking terribly smart.
The castle was built by my ancestors as a summer residence. It was never meant to be lived in like we live in it today, all year round. Come on, not at all. Not at all. Everyone else seems to be taking a picture. Okay, brilliant.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
There's no sort of rule book on how to be a duke. You can't just sort of go and look it up and learn it one day. I think you have to have a real passion for the place.
These are all fine dukes and people who've been part of the family.
Well, whose was the Silver Cross Pram then? Who was in that?
That's Torquil's pram, and actually it's got a coronet and a C because he was the Earl of Campbell.
On it?
On the side. And
did they do that? Did Silver Cross do that?
I presume
back in the day?
And then it was also your nanny got, there was priority on benches.
Yes, I know, because
park,
I've just written a piece about old nannies, and there was a bench for kind of nannies of titled families.
Exactly.
And you were like,
and if Torquil was sitting there, he was only an earl's child, but then he was the son of a duke, you know, you would, I presume, have priority over just some
rubbish lord again. Yeah.
What is your title?
What is my title? Well, my main title is Duke of Argyll, but it does have about another sort of 26 different ones that go with it. But I think probably in today's world, the most important one is called MacKylan Moore, which means I'm Chief of Clan Campbell, which is, of course, one of the biggest and greatest Scottish families that's ever been. So it's quite a responsibility.
And then this is all things Campbell, so that's the Campbell family tree, so that's Torquil at the top. And then the different strands that come off.
The latest history book that's been done on the family sort of extends to about 3 volumes.
So you've got the royal family, and then you've got the non-royal dukes. Torquil's a duke, my eldest son's a marquis, and then his eldest son, if they're all alive, will be the earl, and then that's how it carries on. Whereas my other 2 children is Lord Rory, that's his title, he doesn't get any more than that, and Lady Charlotte, and that's her bit.
There's the pomp and show and stuff that we all have this amazing heritage. And I think if you don't maintain it and if you don't keep it, it will be lost, and then the next generation won't necessarily know how to do it.
So have you made the pages of Tatler over the years?
A few times. The photograph that was taken of a whole lot of dukes for the 300th anniversary of Tatler, which was amazing.
How to bag a duke. There was a lovely article, wasn't there, on how to bag a duke. I don't think many dukes would fall for the rules of how to bag a duke, would they? But if it's making people laugh and people are buying the magazine, then that's great, isn't it?
And how do you bag a duke?
There's only 26 of them, so most of them are, well, quite a lot of them are very, very old now, so yeah, it's up to you, good luck.
In that portrait there, you've got the first, second and third dukes. First duke and his two sons. I haven't been done yet, no, certainly not deliberately.
There's always that sort of thing between money and class, and and money doesn't get you class, and
I think the world's changed though, don't you? I think it's not all about, I mean, I wouldn't have been allowed to marry a duke 100 years ago. A nice girl from an industrial family in Birmingham wouldn't be marrying a duke in the olden days. If you look at all the big aristocratic families, I think most of the wives now aren't from aristocratic families. I think everyone realised, in times of change, for a start, the royal family then stopped marrying royal families because there was haemophilia was rife, and you sort of ended up getting too close to gene pools. So I think everyone's moved around. Things have moved, haven't they? And in fact, the big money coming in now is not the aristocracy, it's not the industrial families from Britain, it's the Russian crowd coming in.
Not only are the Russians coming over, they are also appropriating some of our oldest traditions. 50 years ago, the social highlight for most young upper-class girls was their debut into society in front of the Queen. Now, Russian Tatler have brought the debutante ball back.
There was no proper ball in Russia, so we thought, why not we? And of course it sounds a bit old-fashioned. For us, it's not something very old-fashioned like the girls wearing white dresses and being presented to the Queen. There is no Queen, unfortunately. So for us, it's just a kind of adventure. It's a kind of a fairy tale.
In England, the Debs were always hand-picked by the cream of the aristocracy. But in Russia, it's Tatler who are choosing the girls they think represent the new upper classes. They seek the most wealthy and privileged, as well as the up-and-coming it girls.
Ну, это я пробую как выходить в свет, и очень волнительно это все. Я хочу пойти по стопам моей мамочки, быть актрисой. Это тоже как бы своего рода проверка.
From the moment they're picked, the grooming begins. Dressed in couture, partnered with male members of the Bolshoi Ballet, in front of the Russian elite, the girls make their debut.
I've never been to this debutante ball thing they do, but I'm always absolutely fascinated by it because actually it's something that I don't think that British Tatler would do or could do. Young Russian girls are dancing with male stars from the Bolshoi, and these are all either the children of oligarchs, or some of them have kind of surnames like, I don't know, Tolstoy and Stalin and things. It is the rummest thing. It does make you wonder what all those Politburo generals during the days of the Cold War would make of it.
I guess that this interest in Britishness is a way for the Russians to find their own identity, and probably these British traditions in our imagination of how our past looked like, probably they are the closest.
Russia hasn't entirely yet emerged from its show the wealth moment, but there are signs that that I think the next generation will probably be heading that way.
Their readers have acquired all the jets, jewels and estates that money can buy. But now the new upper class are beginning to set their sights on their child's education in British private schools.
A lot of the things that work in the British edition of Tatler also work in the Russian version. For example, schools.
Many see it as a passport to a better life and a perfect entry point into high society.
One of the most successful things that they run in Russian Tatler is what is a Russian version of the British Schools Guide.
Tatiana Zokolova, an ex-supermodel and Tatler hero, is married to a TV magnate. She has 3 daughters and is obsessed with getting her eldest, Lubya, into a top British public school.
Here is my sister's bed, and here is my bed. There are like 7 oaks. It's a very fashionable school, and it's a very high stand, and I don't know. It's like Bentley car. That's what they say exactly. We Russians are crazy moms and moms. We want everything for our children's best. The British schools are known are the like best schools in the world. And then there is Kingswood School. It's very classical, comfortable. They like saying that. This one they say like Mercedes. It's fun, you know?
Getting one's child into one of the most prominent British schools is the latest status symbol in Moscow and has become the biggest brag at the most exclusive dinner parties.
You probably wouldn't have predicted in the post-Stalinist days that British independent schools would be crammed out with Russian oligarchs' children, but indeed this is the case.
So Russian fathers understand that the schools provide their kid with the right social network. They really try to make their children members of the high society because they themselves, they are not. They probably, sometimes language is not enough, sometimes provenance is not enough, but their children will be definitely. So get ready, Russians are coming.
Every year we learn something about England. Every year.
What type of word could we use to combine 2 small sentences?
Well, when we start, she was about 7 years old. Of course, she hates it. She hates the English lessons. She hates her teacher. We changed the teachers thousands of times anyway, but now she loved it because she went to UK. She sees the schools. She wants to go. She wants to study. She'll dream about boarding school.
So have you been to England?
Yes, many times.
Have you? Where did you go?
I went to Olympic Games in London. Then I went to Edinburgh School of English, to University College Dublin, and that's all. There is about Marlborough School. They saying there is Kate Middleton went to Marlborough School.
What type of verb do we want to use?
Imperative verb.
The imperative verb. So, I actually was in a coffee shop today and there were mugs with Queen Elizabeth II coronation. Couldn't quite believe it, didn't buy one, but they were there. Yeah. So we need to expand on this. And remember, this is now our draft. Afterwards, we'll edit it to make it a lot better. You know, you enjoy the tutoring, you enjoy the teaching, but it would be a bit trite to say that's the reason why you do it. You also do it because you get paid quite well.
It's quite interesting the way that they often do pieces in Russian Tatler about children of oligarchs and the kind of next generation who are becoming, needless to say, more westernized all the time. It's very noticeable. This huge desire to be educated in England.
12-year-old Lubya will be taking her place at Wickham Abbey School for Girls in Buckinghamshire. Her parents will be paying £34,500 a year for her to board. Buying a place in a British private school is the perfect entry point into upper-class society. Property and land follow closely behind. Almost half of the private Scottish land has now been bought by foreigners, including Arabs, Russians and even Donald Trump. What with all this spare cash, it's hard for British aristocratic families on their uppers to say no.
Take the second exit.
I'm going to.
Lady Christine de la Rue is Sophia's next stop.
Come on, Misty.
Twice a widow, she is now moving from her 20-bedroom Ayton castle as she has been struggling with the upkeep.
That's all I do is wander about and say A or nay. Here. Come on, Misty. The cook who died last year, she was here 26 years. You see how big this is?
She's amazing. She's a really amazing person. And she was Norwegian and beautiful. And I think probably set the cat among the pigeons a little bit in kind of quite straight-laced borders folk.
And look, this was my bedroom. And it's not been lived in, but I always kept it heated. I loved this room. And this, he gave me this lovely 18th century Venetian bed. This is where the children always came and even unpacked their Christmas stockings. And no, it was beautiful. It was a lovely life.
A Norwegian, Christine was touring Europe in the 1960s, looking for love in the British aristocratic social scene. And she quickly found it in the Scottish Highlands.
Is this the dining room?
That's just a hall.
It's just a hall.
I remember Louisa del Turco, she said, oh no, you must go to Britain. She said, it's really interesting, the houses are absolutely lovely. And she used to say, the men look amazing. But the women, which was true, the tight curls, they just have big blouses and silk and these Bernard Klein skirts, they all, and their voices shatter glass, which true.
It's very true, yeah.
It's very true.
Christine met her first husband, Sir Eric de la Rue, a Scottish baron, within days of her arrival.
This was the 60s, and there was the Hunt Ball. I was only 22. He was in his 50s, and he said, I'm going to marry you. I said, oh, God, no. He was eccentric. He was an Edwardian man, and it wasn't easy. Let me tell you, it was very, very difficult. And I went hunting, and my pony, I didn't know anything about riding. And people would say, oh, Eric, you can't let Christine hunt. She doesn't know how to ride. And he said, 9 out of 10 who hunt with the barracks that don't know how to ride either. She'll soon learn. And when you stop then, and all these tight-curled women came up who were much frightful, you know. You're foreign, aren't you? You don't know how to behave, do you? And I said, sorry. But then the husband come with us, leave her bloody alone, Jean or whatever their name. And then he looked at them and he said, brave as a lion, hourglass figure and flaxen hat, what do you expect? I used to get letters, I mean stacks, from all over the world. And they used to say, we think you're much more interesting and so kind than the Princess of Wales. What a lovely thing to do.
Christine will be moving out of Ayton Castle in 4 weeks and will be downsizing.
When he was literally...
How will it be saying goodbye to this place?
Awful. But it's been a lot of heartache. It needs staff, minimum 5, and a butler, and you can't neglect it. It's too big for just one person. And that's why it's all these Russians and the oligarchs who are buying them up. And these people are hardly ever there, and it'll be all dead, and, you know, the times I've had here, and it was busy and lovely. And it was all lived in, and it was wonderful. I've known it since the 60s.
What is certain about Scotland's future is more and more of its castles and land will continue to be bought by incoming wealthy foreigners. And the face of the aristocracy will inevitably change just like down south.
There is the sense of old and new creeping in. And as estates don't come up very often, I think an estate agent said you get basically 6 big estates for sale every year in Scotland, and they will largely now be snapped up by kind of foreign money because English, British toffs don't have the money to pay, millions of pounds for some moorland.
Eastern Neston is set in 500 acres of Northamptonshire countryside. It was designed by the same architect who built Blenheim Palace. This house is not owned by a grand old family, but in fact a very rich Russian, Leon Max. Leon Max is a fashion business tycoon who turns over £1 billion a year and has 6 houses around the world.
The idea of living in a country, in a grand pile, is still a very appealing idea.
For 300 years, the house belonged to the Hesketh family. Lord Hesketh, who was a convivial man, had expensive tastes, but was forced to sell to pay off huge debts.
Presumably, I got this house because of the expense of running it was no longer palatable by the previous occupant, Lord Hesketh. He didn't want to leave that albatross hanging on the necks of his children.
Leon swooped in and bought the house for £15 million and has spent the same again restoring it. Now, 5 years on, the house is the antithesis of a crumbling country manor.
Leon Max bought this huge Baroque pile a few years ago, and yes, as I think done it up immaculately by all accounts, and has staff there now. So does, yes, exactly, live that old Downton way of life.
I have a butler who travels with me. There are 3 chambermaids when the house is full of guests. We have 2 gardeners, hedge clipping and tree trimming sort of a service. We have a forester with an assistant. Of course, we have a security detail. And that's about it. And we have a chef when we're here, when we're in residence.
So this is the tree we want to get the same one, the weeping willow.
Yeah, the weeping willow.
The biggest we can get.
The biggest we can get. And
Roy Goodyear is the head groundsman and spent nearly 3 decades serving the previous owners.
Bring it in here.
Yeah, oh yeah, we can get it through,
right.
And to that's not the problem. It's moving it, transporting it here, on a lorry and things. The talk was a Russian millionaire had bought the place, and of course then you start thinking, what are they going to do with it?
Was there sort of who is this person?
Oh, there were plenty of that went on. When we had the first hunt meet in front of the house, the local hunt come and met on Boxing Day, and I think every person that was there was between 400 and 500 shook hands with him. I remember Mr. Max saying to me he felt like a pop star.
Got married the other day, and we're covering it in Bystander, and apparently at 4 a.m, amazing wedding party still going on, and they'd run out of fags, so someone sent the butler out at 4 a.m. to go and try and find some cigarettes. Of course, nowhere was open in the countryside, so the butler apparently came back and suggested, as he hadn't found any cigarettes, that it might be time everyone went to bed, and they meekly did.
Leon's new wife is a Ukrainian ex-model.
So it's very, very pretty here. It's my lovely wife, Yana.
Hello.
Hello.
We're newly married for 4 months.
4 months.
Yes.
And did you feel like the sort of lady of the manor, was it? It feels pretty exciting.
She's adjusting.
I'm still adjusting.
She's adjusting slowly. I imagine people conjure up some sort of a crony capitalist, borderline mafioso, uncouth shirt open down to the waist and a lot of shiny objects dangling off his hands. But that's just a false image. There are many kinds of Russians. Some are quite cultured. The staircase is this is where Hawksmoor has reached like a degree of perfection.
A self-proclaimed Anglophile, Leon Max has hosted shoots, made friends with toffs, and most importantly, made it into the pages of Tatler.
He's chosen to spend his life and a huge amount of his money in England, in a very kind of rarefied world. I mean, he goes to, you know, comes to our Tatler parties. He's very much kind of part of the Tatler scene now.
I think I was number 3 or 4 on the most desirable bachelor list. Well, I'm married now, which I found hysterical. That every society has snobbery on some level. You know, everyone wants to feel superior to someone else in some way, and most people do. They find a way to do it. That's the idea of the British upper class, is that class is an inherited concept. But if one does not get to inherit a superior brain power, and if one has no ambitions in life, does that person get to feel superior against someone who possesses all of the above?
You know what's best is if you could give me a guest list and details of the party and send me through an email.
Back at Vogue House, up on the 3rd floor, Sophia's Scottish piece, Great Scots, is nearing completion. The article is a 10-page feature and will be at the heart of the August issue.
These are charming. These are just lovely, lovely pictures. Did you have a good time? Was it fun?
Yeah, it was great, because they were all so wonderful, really. Quite mad, but wonderful.
So go big, big, big on that. I mean, you could even like open on that.
I'm all for new blood, because if the British aristocracy were left to their own devices, you would have children with 5 heads and, you know, 10 arms. They can't just marry each other the whole time. The gene pool gets too small. So I'm all for everyone coming in, basically, and shaking it up a bit. But I think you will still find, you know, traditionalists who are a bit threatened by, you know, new money.
Even though, you know, these enormously wealthy and polished people from other countries are moving in and buying up big chunks of Knightsbridge and everything, I don't think we need to worry about our national characteristics being swamped by an avalanche of perfection and glamour. I think that the character trait of being a bit shambolic and a bit scrappy about things is so strongly ingrained in this island of ours that we will still prevail.